To dig into something we all deal with. Laziness, right? But don't worry, this isn't about beating ourselves up.
Yeah, it's not about that at
We're
all.
getting curious about the why, the how can we put things off, and the really cool part.
How to outsmart it. Right.
Exactly. Think of it like we're giving our brains an upgrade.
I love that. An upgrade.
Yeah,
Because it really is about understanding how our minds work, not just willpower.
totally. So it's not just about wanting to chill and watch another episode instead of tackling that to-do list.
Nope, it's way more nuanced than that. One major piece of the puzzle is burnout.
Burnout, right? Because when we're mentally drained, even little things feel impossible.
Exactly. It's like our brains just hit a wall and say, time out.
Makes sense. It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach.
Perfect analogy.
Hmm.
And then there's this whole other layer, the clarity factor, or rather, the lack of it. If we don't have crystal clear goals, or things just feel too big, too fuzzy.
Procrastination City.
Exactly. It's like, I don't even know where to start, so why bother?
And we can't forget the fear factor.
Oh, right. Huge one.
Fear of messing up,
Yeah.
of judgment, even of, believe it or not, succeeding.
It's true. All those anxieties, they really trip us up.
Self-sabotage in a nutshell. If I don't try, I can't fail. Right? So we've got burnout, we've got lack of clarity, we've got fear. What do we do about it? How do we actually start tackling this?
Well, one of the most powerful tools we have is harnessing the power of habits.
Habits, okay.
Because think about it, our habits, they're like the invisible structure of our lives, for better or for worse.
Like building a house.
Yep.
Strong foundation, you can weather almost anything, but if it's shaky.
Exactly. So how do we build those strong habit foundations? A lot of experts break it down into a really simple framework. Cue, routine, reward.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me. Cue, routine, reward.
So the cue, that's your trigger, the thing that kickstarts the habit. The routine is the action itself, the habit you're trying to build. And the reward, that's the positive reinforcement, the thing that makes you want to keep doing it.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But let's get specific. Let's say I want to start exercising every morning. How does that look in terms of cue, routine, reward?
Perfect example. Your cue could be something as simple as putting your workout clothes out the night before.
I like it. Already sets the intention.
Right. Then your routine is, say, a 30-minute jog.
Okay.
And your reward. Maybe it's that delicious smoothie you love, you make it for yourself right after, and boom, you've linked that feeling of accomplishment and a treat you enjoy to the act of exercising.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about those times when even just getting started feels insurmountable?
Oh, I've been there. There's a trick for that, and it's surprisingly simple. The 2-minute rule. Have you heard of this one?
Maybe? Refresh my memory.
Okay, so it's all about tricking your brain into taking action. The rule is, if you can do something in under 2 minutes, you do it right then, no overthinking, no excuses.
2 minutes. That's it. I'm listening. But how does that work with bigger tasks? The ones that take way longer than 2 minutes?
Because it breaks that procrastination cycle, it builds momentum. Let's say you've got to write a report, right? Staring at a blank page can be super intimidating. Instead of getting overwhelmed, you use the 2-minute rule. Open the document, write the heading. That's it. 2 minutes.
I never thought of it that way.
But that tiny action, it can be enough to get the ball rolling.
It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But sometimes even knowing where to step or how to take that first step feels impossible.
Right, and that's where understanding how our brains work is key. Because it's not just about pushing ourselves harder, it's about working with our wiring, not against it.
Okay, you've got my attention. Give me the brain-based productivity hacks. I've heard things like the Pomodoro Technique, time blocking, but honestly, I need the explainer version.
You got it. So Pomodoro Technique first. It's like interval training for your brain, basically. You work on something for a set amount of time, usually 25 minutes, then a short break, like 5 minutes, and then repeat.
Work hard, rest, repeat. Got it.
Exactly. And those little breaks, super important. That's what prevents you from getting mentally fried.
Right, because we all know our brains aren't meant to just focus for hours on end.
Exactly. We need those pauses, those resets to really do our best work.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And you know what this ties into? Another productivity technique. Time blocking. Have you ever looked at your to-do list and just felt totally overwhelmed?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It's like staring up at a mountain, wondering how you'll ever reach the top.
Right, time blocking can help with that. Instead of just having a list of tasks, you actually assign them to specific blocks of time in your day.
So like, if I have a meeting from 10 to 11,
You might block out, say, 11:45 to 12:30 to really focus on a particular project.
okay, I see where you're going with this. So it's about creating a roadmap for my day instead of just reacting to whatever comes up.
Exactly. You're in control, you're intentional with your time. Speaking of which, have you ever noticed how just moving your body a little can help with that stuck feeling?
Oh, 100%. When I hit that afternoon slump, even a quick walk does wonders.
There's a reason for that. Exercise releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that boost your mood, your energy.
So it's like a shot of espresso for the brain.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a crazy workout either. Just standing up, stretching, a quick walk around the block, your brain will thank you.
Good to know. So we've covered habits, Pomodoro Technique, time blocking, even sneaking in some movement. But what about the motivation piece? Sometimes I feel like that's the biggest hurdle, that initial spark.
That's huge. All the productivity hacks in the world won't help if your mindset isn't there. It's like having a sports car but no desire to drive it.
So how do we shift gears, so to speak, and
Yeah.
cultivate a mindset that's all about taking action, not avoiding it?
One really powerful technique is simply changing how we view our tasks. It's about moving from I have to I get to.
I get to. I like the sound of that already.
Right. Instead of, ugh, I have to do laundry, it's I get to have clean clothes. Subtle shift, but it makes a difference.
It totally changes the energy around it. It's like choosing to focus on the positive outcome, not just the task itself. And that's connected to this whole idea of a growth mindset, right?
Absolutely. With a fixed mindset, we think our abilities are set in stone. We're either good at something or we're not. But with a growth mindset, we see challenges as opportunities.
So instead of giving up when things are hard, we actually use those experiences to become more resilient.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective, that can be everything when it comes to how we approach our goals, whether we see laziness as a roadblock or just a hurdle to jump over.
It's like the obstacle is the way. But let's be real, even with the best mindset in the world, sometimes we just need a little push.
Totally.
And that's where self-discipline comes in.
It's a big one.
But it can feel kind of, I don't know, restrictive.
Yeah, I get that. We often think of discipline as this rigid thing, but it really doesn't have to be.
So how do we reframe that?
It's about aligning our actions with our values, our goals, even when it's not the easy choice.
It's about showing up for ourselves, even when the snooze button is calling our name.
Exactly. And it's about having those strategies in place for when our willpower needs a little boost.
Like what kind of strategies?
Well, think of it this way. Even the most seasoned hiker, they still pack for unexpected weather.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what are some of those supplies we can pack to deal with those moments when laziness threatens to take over?
One that's surprisingly helpful. Accountability.
Having someone to answer to keep us on track.
Exactly. When we know someone's expecting us to follow through, it's amazing how much more likely we are to actually do it.
It's like having a workout buddy.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything formal or intimidating, just someone you trust, a friend, family member, colleague.
Accountability buddy check. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've talked about shifting our mindset, building those supportive habits, even finding an accountability partner. But for those of us who like concrete steps, give me the to-do list. What are some things we can start doing today to combat laziness and actually get things done?
You got it. So, a really simple one, but super effective. Create your to-do list the night before.
I've heard that before, but I'll be honest, I don't always stick with it.
The key is to prioritize ruthlessly. Don't try to do everything, just focus on the 3 most important tasks for the next day.
Okay, manageable.
Right. And another little trick, set deadlines, even for things that don't officially have them.
Oh, I like that. Because otherwise it's so easy to just let things drag on and on.
Happens to the best of us. But that deadline, even if it's one you set for yourself, it just creates a little urgency.
And finally, don't forget to reward yourself.
Yes. Celebrate those wins, big or small.
Acknowledge that progress. It feels good, and it reinforces those positive actions.
Exactly. Makes you want to keep going.
So listener name, as we wrap up this deep dive, remember, laziness isn't this unconquerable force. It's a challenge, sure, but one we can absolutely overcome.
It's about understanding how our brains work, building those systems that support us, and finding what works for you.
It's about experimenting, being kind to ourselves along the way, and celebrating those victories, no matter how small they might seem.
Every step counts. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and keep pushing beyond those lazy tendencies.
You got this.